Because of our market knowledge, understanding the market, knowing comparables, knowing what things sell for, being able to negotiate a contract, we got into the real estate investing side of our business. So behind me is number 2 John Street in Georgetown. This was a single family dwelling. In November of last year, a bill was passed for the municipalities to be able to turn single family dwellings into triplex conversions. So we're taking this house, we're putting 3 rental units in it. We're gonna put long-term tenants into the property and get it rented out. But getting it there has been so much work because the property needed a ton of renovating done to it. It was in shambles. Metrolinx, which is the company that owns Go Transit, actually owned this property and they were using it as an office space. Once they were done with it, they left the property vacant, so it sat for a long time. All the interior pipes burst, the water, the foundation was leaking water. We had to do everything. The town actually made us dig the basement down. We had to go down about 1.5 feet, so that was a ton of work and a huge unexpected expense, but we're almost done the project and we are so excited to finally get it done, get some great tenants in here, rent it out, and just kind of leave it and let it sit, let it do its thing, and let real estate investing work its magic. Hey man.
Hey buddy, how you doing?
Hello, Brock speaking. Hello. Okay, so I'm inside the house now at the project, and on these houses, the properties that we buy, we renovate them and we rent them out. We want to make sure that the inside is really nice. We want to make it nice enough that we could live here. We don't want to be a slumlord where we're renting out to people these units where they're a mess and things don't work and it's not nice. Now, I just wanted to quickly share with you the different finishes and things that we do to these houses. And I also want to explain to you why we think that it's so important for us to do that, because that's a big piece of the way that I like to invest in real estate. As you can see, we do all high-end finishes. We love the white cabinetry. These are IKEA kitchen cabinets. We do the black handles, the stainless steel appliances, and we always go with quartz countertops because they're so hard to beat up. Knock on wood, I don't want to jinx anything, but they're so hard to beat up. The laminate countertops, after a few years, always look terrible. Someone puts a hot pot on it, it gets burnt. Someone uses it as a cutting board, it gets all cut up. The laminate countertops are terrible, they're cheap quality. The quartz countertops is something that we find indestructible. They last a lot longer, and even though they're a little bit expensive, it really adds to that finished product. And this takes a ton of work. I know it doesn't look like much. Whenever I show somebody the rental properties that I'm working on, they just kind of come through and go,
okay, cool, looks good.
But usually when we buy them, they're so flippin' beat up and they take so much work to get them to the level that we want them to be at, that by the time they come in and see the finished product, it looks great, but they don't realize all the work that we put into it for us to get it there. When we bought this house originally, like I said, it was an office space, so we had to add walls, move stuff, open things up, put in load-bearing walls. It was a ton of work, but the finished product looks so good. It's something to be proud of. When we make sure that we have something really nice and when we give the key to the tenants that we find, we feel a lot better about the whole transaction. The first thing is we can get higher rental amounts, but it's not just about that. It's not just about the money that you make. The second piece of it is the tenants that you find. When you have a nice product, when you have a nice house to rent to somebody, you're gonna find much better tenants. People are looking for something that's nice, and if they're not a great tenant, then they probably wouldn't care as much about the house that they're moving into. So for us to make sure that we're finding good tenants, we need to make good products, good living spaces for the great tenants to move into. So that is really the most important piece. Another reason why we want the finished product to look so nice is because we want to get as high of an appraisal as we can. So generally when we buy these houses, we buy them beat up. We are buying them at the purchase price, getting a mortgage on it, putting our money into it, investing into it in the contractors, the materials, the time, carrying the property while you're doing the renovations. So we buy it, we renovate it, we rent it, and then we go and we get it reappraised and we refinance it. And the higher the refinance we can get, the more money we can pull out of it. And then that enables us to continue growing and continue scaling our portfolio. So we want the finished product to look as nice as it can. That way we can get as much money out of it so we can move on to the next project. That brings me to my next point, which is about cash flow. We want to make sure every project that we buy, at the end of the day, when we're done everything, it's rented, it's been refinanced, and we're just sitting back and managing it, making sure that the tenants are happy. We want to make sure that the property every month has a surplus of money, and it doesn't have to be a crazy amount. We just want to make sure that if our expenses are $6,000, we want to make sure that our rent is $6,000 plus. Let's say we had an extra $500 a month. We were bringing in $6,500 a month from the house, and our mortgage, our hydro, our gas, our water, our insurance, our property management, our maintenance is all about $6,000 a month. Then we're making $5,000 a month, and we can continue to hold on to this property. If you're in a negative cash flow every month, and I know some investors go that route, I find it very hard, even just mentally, to hang on to a property that is not cash flowing long term. I want to buy something that after I pay my mortgage, after I pay my hydro, heat, and water, after I pay my property insurance, I want to be able to have the rent come out of it and to be able to have some money left over in my pocket, because homes like this, there's always hidden expenses, there's always things that come up, there's items that need to be fixed, and we want to make sure that we have a little bit of padding in our pockets to cover any expense as they come up. That way we can ensure that we can hold on to the property for a long term, and we can get through any market trials and tribulations and things going on. And another reason that we want to make sure we're cash flowing, and another way that we can hang on to these properties for longer, is if we have long-term fixed debt. So we don't want to go variable mortgage. We don't want to have a mortgage payment that's going to be fluctuating every month, because A, I can't handle the risk at night, and B, we need to have an investment that we can hang on to for the long term so that we can weather any kind of storm that's coming in the market. If house prices drop, if interest rates increase, if anything else happens, maybe we have another pandemic that we have to get through, we want to make sure that we have long-term fixed rate debt that we can really hang on to the property and not have to worry about our expenses really fluctuating. The next challenge that real estate investors have is finding a good property. You want to find something that fits your budget, you want to find something that is a good market value, and you want to find something that you can put money into it and you can increase the value. But the final piece of the whole real estate investing thing is finding a property that when you're done, you can refinance, pull your money out, and the thing still cash flows. Let me take you back into the office and share the numbers with you on this deal so I can show you what this looks like from a financial standpoint. All right, so let's take a second to look at the numbers on a deal like this, because if it's not making money, it doesn't make any sense. So we want to make sure that we are cash flowing every single month, and if we're not, it's not a good deal. And we want to run these numbers before we purchase the property. So we bought that home for $600,000. We put $250,000 into renos. All in, we have $850,000. And we want to make sure now that we can go get a new mortgage, and that after paying the mortgage, after paying all the expenses, the hydro, the heat, the water, the insurance, what else is there? It's a long list. The mortgage, the heat, the hydro, the water, the insurance, and the property maintenance, we want to make sure that after we collect the rent, we pay all those expenses, we have some money left over, and that is called cash flow. The way that we're going to get wealthy off of a project like this over time is that we are going to also have different things at play. So it's not just about the $500 or $600 a month that we are going to cash flow. That doesn't add up to long-term wealth. Where you end up getting the long-term wealth in real estate investing is through 2 or 3 different ways. The first is the cash flow. That really helps, but not including that. The first thing is that we have our debt pay down. The second thing is that we have our market appreciation. And the third is that we have tax advantages. So our debt pay down is the tenants are paying down the mortgage for us over time. Part of our big chunk of expenses that we have to pay is our mortgage payment. Part of that mortgage payment is a principal payment. So the bank gives us $10 and they say, give me $2 every month. When we pay them, $1 goes towards interest, $1 goes towards principal. And at the end, when everything's all paid off, we now owe $0 and have that full loan. So that's something that's going to be super important in our real estate investing journey, because we, at the end of the day, will have our mortgage paid down. Now, it's going to take 25 to 30 years depending on the loan that you go with, but that is a huge piece of real estate investing. And the second piece is going to be the market appreciation. On average, over the last 100 years, real estate has gone up 3 to 7% per year. Obviously, we have huge years like 2021 where we saw prices go up 30%. Then we have years like this year where our prices are down 20 to 25%. But on average, we can expect 3 to 7% growth, market appreciation, value appreciation for every year that we own that asset on average. And the reason that we want to cash flow, these are long-term investments. So even though the market's going to ebb and flow and things are going to change and be a little bit volatile in the short term, in the long term, we're going to look at the average and average it out over time to look for our return. So we have the mortgage coming down, we have the value going up, and then we have tax advantages from owning real estate. When we're dealing with the CRA and we're paying our taxes, if we go out and we make $100,000 in our job, 50% of that is going to be taxed. If we make a capital gain on a property, let's say we made $100,000 in a property, 50% of that is going to be taxable income. So instead of paying a $50,000 tax burden on $100,000 income, it'll be half of that taxed at your tax bracket. So let's say it's 50%. On a $100,000 capital gain, you would have a $25,000 tax bill. So the tax advantages of owning real estate are incredible. You can also depreciate the property. So they say, okay, you paid $600,000 for this piece of property. We know that 200 of that $600,000 is in the value of the land, and the other $400,000 of value is in the home. Homes depreciate in value. Eventually that house will have to be replaced. So we can depreciate the value of that asset every single year. And that gives us a huge tax advantage because it's a decrease on our taxes. So if we made $100,000, but the property came down $20,000 in value, or the structure or the home itself came down $20,000 in value, now instead of having a taxable income of $100,000, we have a taxable income of $80,000. So those are the 3 reasons, or the 4 reasons, including cash flow, that I love to invest in real estate. So that's the real estate game. That's this project. This is 2 John Street in Georgetown. We are this close to being done the permitting process with the town of Halton Hills, and then we're gonna rent it out, refinance it, and keep moving. So thanks for watching the video, guys. If you have any questions about real estate investing or the real estate market, I would love to help you. This kind of stuff is my passion. This is what keeps me up at night, and I would love to have a conversation with you.